Next on Unsolved Mysteries. A gang of masked intruders, a house ransacked, an innocent family terrorized. Who are these violent intruders?
Please help us.
Modern-day prospectors follow century-old clues and close in on a mother lode of gold. They are known as Men in Black. No one knows who they are or where they come from. A school that offers music scholarships for kids seems too good to be true. It is.
Join me for these stories of murder, missing persons, fugitives, and the paranormal. I'm Dennis Farina, and this is Unsolved Mysteries.
It can happen anytime, anywhere, from big cities to small towns. Home invasion robberies target innocent victims who never see it coming.
You're alone in your home, feeling safe and protected. You lie down to take a nap, and you wake up to a nightmare. That's exactly what happened to Dr. David Cawood.
Jefferson County, Tennessee.
Where's your ball?
I remember not being able to figure out what's going on and then sheer terror.
You want from me? People like you have.
I received a blow in the abdomen, a blow on the right side of my chest, and a blow in the back of the head that knocked me out.
Dr. Cawood's wife, Jeannie, and their son, Trinity, returned home.
What was that? Oh my God, what was that? Ah!
In a blind panic, Jeannie ran straight towards the intruders.
I had my hands up in the air. I was more or less in shock.
Lay down on the floor. On the floor. Now. Hands out. Okay, lady. Where is everything? Tell us what you got. We know you got a vault. We know you got some money.
They wanted to know where the vault, the cash, and the gold was. Of course, I don't have a vault.
Yes, you do. Are you gonna talk? Are you the one that's gonna talk? You are, aren't you?
You know, I told him where the jewelry was. I mean, I didn't know anything else to do, you know. I figured Dad was already dead, and I was just trying to keep Mom and myself alive.
Good boy. Let's go.
The intruders left Jeannie and Trinity alone and continued to ransack the house. Moments later, one of them reappeared.
Oh God, please help us.
I knew at that point that they were going to shoot us.
Trinity.
So I immediately started praying with Trinity.
I told her I loved her, and that I was ready to go, and, you know, I was sure I was going to heaven. And I was just ready to go. I didn't think I'd see another day.
Well, as we finished the conversation, Trinity and I did, I could hear this man choke up, and when he did, he turned around and walked away. I think that is probably what saved Trinity and me.
I gotta do something.
Jeannie struggled against the ropes and managed to free herself.
Kill us. God, Trinity, I'm not gonna lie here on the floor and get shot, man.
Afraid the intruders were still upstairs, Jeannie and Trinity ran for help.
All I knew is I had to get out of the house. I threw the knife in the garage and I went next door and banged on my mother-in-law's window. And she came to the back door and I ran in and I got her gun. And I told her to call 911.
The K-Woods house was a mess. The thieves had trashed every room and made off with more than $40,000 in cash and jewelry. Upstairs, investigators found Dr. Kaywood bound and gagged on his bed, drifting in and out of consciousness.
I love you, honey.
Dr. Kaywood survived the ordeal with 7 fractured ribs and a concussion. To this day, he has no idea who the attackers were. For the Kaywoods, the official investigation was an exercise in frustration. No fingerprints were ever found. None of the jewelry was recovered, and the police never came up with any solid evidence. The Kaywoods began their own investigation and soon found a dozen other families who had had the same terrifying experience. 4 months after the attack, they met with Ken and Patsy Jenkins, who lived 25 miles away. Their story was so similar, the Kaywoods were convinced that both families had been attacked by the same people.
You gonna talk?
It was one of the most frightening things I have ever been through in my life.
We not only went on physical descriptions, but we concentrated on the personalities of the perpetrators, how they moved, what they said, and it's astonishing. 1 or 2 members of the cast of characters may change from time to time, but it's the same people.
The Jenkins had been hit 5 years before the Kaywoods, also on a Sunday night.
Oh, everything we say and everything's gonna be just fine. You gotta cooperate?
I remember that he disguised his voice, and he stood with a pillow between him and me. At the time, I was afraid maybe he might be going to shoot me through the pillow.
But murder was not part of the plan. Just like the Kaywoods, the intruders were after money, gold, and access to a vault.
Okay, listen, you got a vault here, old man?
I don't know.
Yeah, come on,
just
you do
take
know.
what you want.
There was a lot of similarities. They come in the nighttime, sometimes Sunday night or at least a time when someone's at home. They wear dark clothing. They use force by show or threat of weapons.
We got the vault, we need the combination.
They use somewhat of regimented tactics.
Now.
They methodically go through the house and remove what they come after.
Dollar-wise, it's hard to put a value on sentimental things, maybe $25,000. They ransacked the house real fast. Actually, one person done the ransacking. One stayed at our bed all the time.
We got it. We got it all. Don't even think about calling the law. We are the law.
They move like a SWAT team. They bark orders like a cop. And I think that they will use whatever violence they deem necessary to achieve their goals.
The Kaywoods believe they've linked 12 break-ins over 10 years to the same gang. It was a connection that no local law enforcement agency had ever made. The Kaywoods' research was so impressive that the Jefferson County DA convinced the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to launch an official inquiry.
We've got so much information for you to look at that we've compiled over the last couple of years that...
Dr. and Mrs. Kaywood have done a lot in this case to help us and assist us. They have met with several of the other victims and have formed, I guess, a coalition of people that want to try to get this case solved. We do feel like the perpetrators have an awful lot of information on the victims in these cases. They come in and ask questions that only the victim could have shared with someone else. And I think they're casing the houses real well, maybe the lifestyle of the people, when they come and go.
What was that?
So we feel that these people are doing an awful lot of homework on these victims.
These people are going to do it again and again. and they need to be stopped.
We have found victim after victim, and these victims, to the person, they feel exactly as we do. And they feel that the most precious thing that's been taken from them is their security.
The statute of limitations has run out on these violent crimes. All the cases are now officially closed. However, a similar home invasion in another part of the state led to the arrest and conviction of several robbers. Although police don't have enough evidence to prove it, they believe the group was responsible for the earlier crimes as well. Next, is there a fortune in gold waiting to be found in the Arizona desert? The Arizona Territory, September 1864. Troopers from Fort Apache find two prospectors wandering in the desert. By the time they reach the fort, the men are barely alive.
We gotta go.
One of the prospectors, known only as Adams, tells the Army surgeon a remarkable story.
You're right. You don't understand. There's mountains of gold up there. There's a river full of gold up there. There's gold up there the size of acorns. Me and my men rode up the Gila River, up into the mountains, was looking for a zigzag canyon, and that was supposed to be full of gold.
Adams and his band of 20 miners were led by a Mexican guide nicknamed Gautier.
Gautier, where's that canyon at?
Gautier promised to take Adams to the gold in return for 2 horses, a saddle, 2 $50 gold pieces, and a red silk bandana. He even said the miners could shoot him if he couldn't find the gold.
This canyon don't go nowhere. If you've been lying to me, you're gonna pay for it.
Eventually, they reached what appeared to be a dead end. But Gautier led the party through a hidden door into a narrow zigzag canyon.
I think Gautier played the major role in getting them to the site. And the reason he was able to do this was the fact that he was raised by the Apaches, and he knew the area, and he was familiar with the fact that gold was important to the white man, not so important to the Apache.
The men found a stream fed by a 20-foot-high waterfall. It was full of what they had come for.
There was a waterfall there, and there was sufficient water, but the amazing thing, and according to a story again, the gold was visible right on the ground. Realizing that gold is heavy, that it settles down, you'd have to think, well, how much gold was there? If there was still gold visibly on the ground, that means every flash flood that brought water over that waterfall brought more gold from above.
Adams and his men agreed to pool their fortune and share it equally. They set up camp, and the prospecting began. Several days later, unexpected visitors arrived, a local Apache chief and 20 of his warriors.
Adams, we got company.
The Apache, there were several things that were sacred to them. One thing, mountains, all mountains. The Zigzag Canyon probably undoubtedly was sacred maybe in some way because it was part of the mountain. The Apaches believed that gold was the tears of the sun. Nobody touched the tears of the sun because the sun was the almighty thing to most Indian cultures. I mean, it's the source of all life.
Tell me that right. A gift.
They met with Chief Nana, and Nana had set down these rules that they do not go above the waterfall for whatever reason, probably because he knew there was more gold up there, and he knew it would attract more white men to the area. He hoped they would fill their pokes and leave and not come back.
Adams struck a deal with the chief. Any miner found above the waterfalls would die. Then one morning, a miner chasing a stray horse ventured above the falls. he came across a gold nugget the size of a chicken egg.
Where'd you get this at, son? Above the falls? You went above the falls?
Adams, he didn't mean to.
My horse got away, Adams. I don't care. I promised the chief we wouldn't go up there.
The discovery triggered gold fever in the camp. Without telling Adams, miners began prospecting above the falls. Some of the gold was stored in a coffee pot hidden under the flagstone of the camp fireplace. According to legend, the miners found almost 300 pounds of gold. One morning, Adams and his partner Davidson were a mile out of camp when they heard the sound of gunfire. Chief Nana had been true to his word. From a lookout above camp, Adams and Davidson stared down helplessly.
No, it ain't gonna do us no good now. Just wait till things settle down, then we'll head on up the canyon. Get out of here. We waited till the sun went down and we snuck up the canyon. You don't believe any of this, do you? We're about to go. Look at this.
Well, Adams, like many prospectors, spent the rest of his life searching for that zigzag canyon and never could find it. I think that once a person sees that much gold in a place like Adams had, he couldn't give up that dream. There's no way. He knew it was there. He had to continue to search for it till he found it.
Adams never did find his motherlode. Years later, he died drunk and penniless, and the story of the lost gold grew into legend.
During the 1920s, John Mitchell, a man who worked on the railroad, wrote about his search for the treasure. To this day, his account inspires others to hunt for the lost Adams diggings.
Ron Feldman is a camping guide who has studied Mitchell's accounts for years.
If you pay attention to what John Mitchell says, he tells you basically where the lost Adams diggings is.
By comparing Mitchell's references with modern maps, Feldman discovered that many rivers and landmarks have gone under different names. He figured out that Adams Canyon was on Eagle Creek, near the town of Clifton, Arizona, 200 miles north of Tucson. Ron Feldman and geologist Mick McPherson went to Eagle Creek, hoping to find the lost Adams fortune.
When Ron and I walked into the canyon and discovered the little hidden portal that led into a zigzag canyon, my feeling immediately was that this was the spot. This is where Adams had been. This fits the stories that I've read. It has the right appearance, and it is an appropriate place where gold could have been concentrated in great quantities as a placer deposit.
Everything about the canyon seemed to fit Adams' descriptions.
It's got to be the waterfall.
It's got to be it.
Yep.
Feldman and McPherson even found a trickle along the canyon wall where a waterfall had once flowed.
If you put more water into the system, as there was when Adams was there, you would have a beautiful cascading waterfall into an open pool at the base of the fall. It's very hard to explain the feeling that rushed through me. It was very exciting. And of course, we both knew the legend of the coffee pot full of gold buried in the floor of the cabin. We soon discovered the ruins of a cabin, started digging in the floor. We found some relics, but no pot full of gold.
Pan, huh? Little gold pan.
Feldman and McPherson also found a section of train track.
In the early days, John D. Mitchell, the author, was actually a railroad man. He worked on the railroads, and we thought of Mitchell when we found those items. We thought of Mitchell when we didn't find the pot of gold.
Perhaps John Mitchell already found the coffee pot of gold. But Ron Feldman and Mick McPherson are convinced they found the area of the huge gold deposit. They're sure the motherlode is still waiting to be found. Coming up, if you ever report that you've seen a UFO, you may receive some unexpected visitors, the Men in Black. But first, how viewer tips led to the capture of a woman who helped her lover escape from prison. Cumberland, Maryland. For 10 years, Kay Beeman worked as a prison guard at a maximum security facility. Edgar Kearns was being held there while awaiting sentencing on charges of check fraud.
Come on, Eddie, hurry up!
Kearns and another inmate, James Barnes, made a daring escape. It appeared they had taken Kay Beeman as a hostage. Authorities later learned that Kay had actually helped with the escape. She was in love with Edgar Kearns.
I don't think I've been too demanding either.
No, you haven't.
I guess you maybe fall in love with somebody and you do some strange things. But Kay's pretty well lost about everything that she ever had over this one incident.
Update. Just 6 hours after our broadcast, Kay Beeman and Edgar Kearns were captured in Canada. They had checked into a motel and registered as husband and wife under the assumed names Fred and Sandy Smith.
I was watching TV, and all of a sudden, this lady's picture come on. So I called my wife in. She was out in the kitchen ironing, and I said, "Do you recognize this lady?" And she said, "Yes, she's the lady that's living in room 12.
The officers of the emergency response unit forced the door open. The room was found to be vacated.
A witness later told police that he had seen the fugitive couple getting into a taxi.
We were able to determine the name of the cab, and a check with the cab company revealed the driver.
I asked them where they were going, and they said the Red Rose Motel.
A few minutes later, the emergency response unit moved in.
Kearns, he wanted to know how we had learned of his whereabouts. We asked him if he had ever seen the program before. He said yes, he had. We told him that he was on it tonight. He was astounded.
Kay Beeman and Edgar Kearns were returned to Maryland. Kearns finished out his prison term, and Beeman served time for her role in the escape. After their release, the two lived together until Kay Beeman's death. Thanks to Hollywood, just about everyone has heard of the Men in Black. But few realize that there may be evidence that the Men in Black are real. Austin, Texas. Ray Muniz owns and operates an auto tinting shop. He says he's had 5 separate encounters with UFOs.
Because of all the experiences that I have or have had, I thought it necessary for me to start looking into all of this. So I started this show here in Austin. It's a local cable access show called Project UFO.
World power. That's kind of general.
One of Ray's viewers sent him this home video, which supposedly shows an unidentified spacecraft in the sky over Georgetown, Texas.
It's a UFO, man.
And on the video, you can see a radio station tower which has 3 red lights on it. Well, right next to this tower is this huge UFO that's just hovering there, like parked.
Those ain't no airplanes, and they're getting closer.
Several days after he received the tape, Ray says some unexpected visitors showed up.
They were dressed in black suits, black ties, the black glasses, the whole 9 yards.
Mr. Muniz? Yes? Reno, Muniz? Yes? I have a summons. A summons? Internal Revenue Service. Am I being audited? Just show up.
I walked back out to see where they had gone to, and there wasn't anything out there. There was no time for them to drive away in a car or walk away. It was very strange.
Ray said he went to the address listed on the summons.
I took my box of my papers and everything, all my tax stuff, and I laid it down on the guy's desk. I said, well, here it is. He looked at me and said, okay, thank you, you can leave now. And I said, excuse me? He said, thank you, you can leave now. And I said, aren't you gonna look at my stuff? He said, no, thank you, you can leave now.
Ray says he returned home to find his video collection ransacked. He now believes this was the reason for his visit from the Men in Black.
They wanted me at a certain place at a certain time so they could go to my house and look for that tape. They didn't find the tape. I still have the tape. So it's either something that was government that they didn't want people to know about, some new aircraft, or it was a UFO that they don't want people to know about.
The Men in Black may be intelligence operatives working from deep-level Black Book projects. Their entire agenda is to silence UFO witnesses and experiencers to relating to the public what they may have encountered.
I was concerned for my safety. I felt a little bit harassed, if you can put it that way, and I did not know what to expect, so I was on guard.
San Juan Capistrano, California. Colette Peters, an accomplished figure skater. She has won several national medals. She claims to have had 2 UFO experiences and 1 encounter with a man in black.
When I was approximately 19 or 20, I was in New York City, walking down one of the main avenues, and I started to encounter a very, very bizarre feeling. It was pure evil. When I looked up, what I saw was a very tall, lanky man walking towards me, but he seemed out of place and quite odd. His skin to me did not look normal. It seemed to fit the criteria of what people call the Men in Black.
I think people have had genuine experiences which are anomalous and unusual. In my opinion, they are disinformation agents using a combination of physical alteration of their appearance with electronics. And it is intended to simply set people off from looking in the direction of what's really going on with the UFO or extraterrestrial issue.
There is, of course, another possibility. Skeptics claim that the Men in Black are merely the product of a few overactive imaginations.
I'm a gotta touch it, feel it, see it type of person. I was there, I saw, I felt. You know, I mean, why would I put my life in danger for a lie?
I don't feel that it could have been a figment in my imagination because of the physicality of it. I'm talking about the hair actually raising up on your skin. It was something I'll never forget.
Coming up,
Let me see your hands up!
2 con artists use a chain of music schools as a front for fraud. North Hollywood, California. A working-class Hispanic neighborhood.
1, 2, 3.
A new music school has just opened, and hundreds of parents eagerly sign up their children for low-cost lessons.
Very good. Now let's go.
The school was owned by Mario Yunez and Omar Arroyo. They hired instructors to teach students the lost art of playing the accordion.
I knew they had a hold of something big. And I knew it was going to be a lot of money. I just knew it. And I wanted it to work.
Yunus was a studio musician fluent in several languages. Arroyo was an aspiring salsa singer and used car salesman.
Wow, that was excellent. I'm very, very proud of you. And I think it's time for you to move up to the next level.
Wow, that sounds great, sweetie. Wonderful. They said that my daughter had won a scholarship to learn piano, accordion, and organ. I thought, oh, great, you know, this is the perfect opportunity for my daughter to get some lessons.
What I need for you to do is to choose one of those. I'm going to recommend that Vaudrey take
Mario Yunez acted as the frontman. Charming and persuasive, he smooth-talked parents while his partner worked behind the scenes.
The Mercedes package is $2,500, and the Toyota package is $1,800.
Oh, I see. I think I'll take the Toyota package. The package was that it was the accordion that you were buying, but they were going to teach 3 different instruments by the end of the 3 years.
We'll be taking $32 increments every month, if that's okay.
And part of it would be also taking them on field trips like Disneyland.
The ink was barely dry on the contract when everything fell apart. Early one morning, Martha Gallardo dropped off Audrey for her weekly lesson.
Mom, they're closed. What do you mean? You sure? Yeah. She said, nobody's there. They're gone. And at first I thought, oh, don't be silly, you know? But then it just like hit me. And I said, oh my God, fraud.
Martha wasn't the only one targeted for fraud. Arroyo and Yunus even duped their own employees. They lied about the credit card scheme and paid them with checks that bounced.
Got tired of getting bad checks. I don't know how many bad checks I got from how many different banks. And they said, well, we got another class for you. And I said, I got to be paid. And they said, well, after you do this class, we'll pay you.
Martha was shocked when she got her credit card bill. Instead of the agreed-upon monthly payment of $32, she found a single charge for the entire cost of the accordion, more than $1,800. It was a cheap import worth about $300. Many other unsuspecting families were hit much harder.
The parents were mad, they were angry, they were hurt because they felt like, okay, wait a minute, we have no money. And what are we gonna do? These people, their credit cards were up to like $10,000, $20,000. One particular guy was $39,000.
Authorities say that in just over a year, Arroyo and Yunus took in more than $1.5 million. But these con men had more tricks up their sleeves, and many more victims would suffer.
Do you have a copy of the contract with you?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
I've seen some real unique case, but I've never handled a case as this, where it has so many victims. We have over, I could say, 200 victims, and it involves a large amount of monies.
Have you seen any 2 males that might have looked like the owners of the place?
Detective Baello discovered that Arroyo and Yunus, using fake names, ran several other music schools.
And cash is okay, yes?
Yeah, cash is...
The 2 con artists went on separate spending sprees.
Do you know any kids who want to take any lessons?
Arroyo reportedly spent some of the stolen money to record a salsa CD under the name Luis Omar. Eunice had also created a new identity.
Hello. I am his twin sister.
She's from Israel. No kidding.
He was now a she, using the name Delia Leon.
Mario Yunus had undergone a sex change operation up in San Francisco and paid for this operation with one of the kids' parents' credit cards. Charges amounted to over $33,000.
Omar Arroyo and Delia Leon became lovers.
I brought you some soda.
The 2 lived as a couple in a luxurious home with Arroyo's 2 daughters from a former marriage.
You haven't filled out an application.
Okay.
But the good life soon came to an end when a new office assistant, overwhelmed by complaints from angry parents, decided to go to the police.
So where are you working?
I'm working at Kids Music Kingdom, and that's in Mission Hills.
It was the break Detective Baello needed.
We conducted a surveillance in order to try to identify our suspects. We were able to come up with their true names.
Baello then followed the suspects to their upscale neighborhood. A few days later, armed with a search warrant, police raided the home.
NAPD, police warrant! Let me see your hands up!
Delia Leon attempted to escape through the backyard, but was quickly apprehended.
What are you doing? I didn't do anything! Ow! What are you doing?
She denied any involvement in the credit card scam.
I was just a consultant. Watch your head, please, man.
Delia's partner in crime, Omar Arroyo, had left town just 2 hours before the raid.
I was surprised on not finding Omar, and I later learned that he had left to Puerto Rico the night before. Omar was in the process of doing promotions on his CD.
Update. Omar Arroyo has been captured in Costa Rica. He was brought back to California and was sentenced to 6 years in prison for fraud. Delia Leon, who had changed her name to Marilyn Muniz, was sent to a woman's prison for 12 years. Next, the story of Charles Muley, a model policeman, or so his partners thought. A motel in Slidell, Louisiana. Charles Muley escorts a 12-year-old girl to his room. Minutes later, he is arrested and charged with the sexual molestation of a minor.
The police knew the suspect well. Charles Muley was a fellow officer. In fact, he was the head investigator of sexual offenses at the Slidell Police Department. The young victim, a child he was counseling.
Hey, man. Yeah, what can I do for you? I'm looking for some smoking dope.
Sergeant Muley was a highly regarded undercover officer. He was a master at disguises and once arrested the same felon 3 different times without being recognized.
That looks like $40 to me. There you go. Take it easy. Sheriff's office, you're under arrest. Up against the truck.
Muley was assigned to the case of a 12-year-old girl who had been upset by the advances of an older boy.
My daughter and a friend of hers in the neighborhood had come to me complaining about a boy who had been harassing them very badly in the neighborhood.
So all you're really going to be doing is talking to Sergeant Muley. Now, he's probably going to ask you a few questions.
Finally did appear at the police station. And that was the first encounter we had with Sergeant Muley.
We're the Josephs.
Oh, Sergeant Muley.
Hi.
How you doing, folks? You must be Claire. Well, come on in.
I had no reason not to trust him. I never regarded him as anything but a policeman. Sergeant Muley, a policeman.
If you folks don't mind, you can sit out here.
Again, I worked most of the sex crime cases that were reported to the Slidell Police Department at that time. When I worked with him, I thought Charlie was a pretty good policeman.
Well, folks, I think I've got this figured out. And we may have a problem. I don't want you to be too concerned. I'm going to have to interview your daughter. I'm going to have to interview the boy again.
Muley took the young girl to a motel room he had reserved for undercover work.
Our daughter, she started changing. I knew that something was bothering my daughter because she would say, "Daddy, don't look at me."
After 4 months, the girl finally told her parents what had been going on.
And all I could keep saying was over and over in my mind was, I can't believe that he did this. I remember her telling me how relieved she was to get it all out.
Police, in consultation with the reluctant family, asked the girl to make one more rendezvous with Muley. This time, the motel room would be a trap with a hidden video camera to secure enough evidence for prosecution.
Sheriff's office, freeze. You're under arrest.
Having to investigate another policeman, especially one that I had been partners with, was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Officer Porter began to go through Muley's personal files. She was hoping that the molestation of the girl was an isolated incident. It wasn't.
If Your Honor, please, considering the serious gravity of these offenses, the state would move
Charles Muley was indicted on over 25 counts relating to the molestation and rape of 6 young girls.
The fact that the defendant has no prior record in his service to the community in the past.
Muley was released on $150,000 bail. On the morning of his trial, Muley disappeared. 2 days later, his pickup truck was found abandoned on a local bridge. Soon after, the sheriff's department received an anonymous phone call. A suicide note, signed by Muley, had been left in a gas station restroom.
There's no way you can convince me that Charlie Muley committed suicide.
In fact, the day after the note was found, 2 people saw Muley coming out of a swamp. He was dressed in hospital clothes, one of his favorite disguises, and he shot at the witnesses.
Hey, how you doing?
An individual shot at you the other day, and I'd like for you to just...
That's him right there.
That's number 5. We were convinced more than ever that Charles was alive, that he was in this area and he had not moved far from this area.
Update. When we first aired this story, the FBI received several calls from viewers who reported that Muley was living in Ocala, Florida. Muley had seen our broadcast and left the Ocala area for approximately 3 weeks. When he returned, he was arrested by FBI agents and local police. After serving his time and probation, he is now a free man.